So, Upper Norfair is kind of overshadowed by Lower Norfair. It's actually a really difficult segment to do fast. You can lose a lot of time in this segment and not even really know why. Just because people are so focused on Lower Norfair that they kind of don't give Upper Norfair the attention that it deserves in practice or learning or, you know, anything like that. So, we're gonna go over this today, and then I'll give Lower Norfair its own sections. This is an elevator that you want to spin jump off of, so hold jump and left when you're coming off. You want to do an angle down shot as you're landing here, and you'll hit this Nova, and you can get a drop from him. I'm full on everything right now, so he's not going to drop anything, but you can get a drop from him. And then what you want to do is run off the right side and do a down back. And you can basically weave all the way down if you do it correctly. Which I've been sucking at that specific spot recently. But yeah, that's how you get down fast. Right now our goal is to get to high jump. So we want to select super missiles. Oops. And open this door on our way down. You can't just hold the down back the whole time here, by the way. You have to kind of stop, which you do by just releasing back and then repressing it after you've cleared this right here. And then, yeah, you want to turn once you clear this so you don't bonk that next ledge. And then you just run into this door. So yeah, that's how this room goes when you're first coming into Norfair. And now we'll talk about the next room, which is deceivingly difficult. Come on, dude. So the goal here, we want to collect this energy tank and then quick drop through this block and kill the Nova. I'm making it look easy here, but it's really not. There's a few different ways that you can do this. What I do is I do kind of a short jump and aim down, and then I hold jump through the item acquisition. And what that does is it maintains Samus's momentum without needing to hold down the entire time, so that I can just focus on pushing right at the right time and getting through. The issue with that is if you don't release down before you collect the item and you continue holding it, you're going to do kind of a big jump instead. So in that situation, you'd have to release and repress, which can be kind of awkward. So what some people opt to do instead is they jump and then they just release down or release jump completely and hold down to maintain their momentum. When I do that, I have a harder time timing the quick drop turn to get through the block. So anyway, those are your two different options to do this particular strat. You just want to shoot basically right before or right after you turn. But the block needs to be broken. You know what, so I guess it would have to be after. Anyway, this Nova will sometimes drop an item for you, so you can wait for that. And then you want to roll left and come down this way. Now, for this particular drop, you'll probably notice that I unmorph at the top and then remorph. If you do that correctly, like frame perfectly, basically, you can save 4 frames doing it this way. Because the reason we do that is it prevents, it puts you in a spot where you can remorph as you're landing, which prevents Samus from bouncing as a ball. Because if we just roll and we drop down, Samus is going to bounce, which costs time. Anytime that you bounce when you're landing as a ball, you're losing a few frames. You can also do an unmorph remorph at the bottom, but that's kind of blind. and they both save the same amount of time if you do it correctly, so. So yeah, I do it at the top. You don't have to do it at all if you don't want to. In my experience, worst case scenario, I get about the same time. So I don't know why I'm selecting supers there. I shouldn't be. And then once you get to the bottom of the tunnel, you just want to hold angle up, roll out here. You want to unmorph, shoot. You should be holding dash here. You want to press forward, which will make Samus stand up. And obviously, I mean, when you press it, you want to hold it and just do kind of a ledge grab up onto the door. If you unmorph too early, you're going to get stuck right here, and then you can't move forward. So make sure you don't unmorph too early, or you're going to have to remorph and roll left and then unmorph again. It's kind of annoying. I have no idea why I keep doing that. So yeah, that's what that room looks like. And now we're going to go get high jump. We don't open this door here because it costs time, by the way, to jump back up and then go down. It's better to just open it on our way out, and I'll be explaining how to do that, so. Oh, that's right. I select power bombs here so that I don't have to select them on the way out. That's right. Okay. So in this room, you want to run, jump up, time your shot when basically, okay, so this is 2 sets of blocks. See, that's one block, and then that's another block. You want to time your shot so that it breaks both of them. That's actually really easy with Spazer. The Spazer's so wide. So just jump up, time your shot, and then what you can do is you can hold down. You'll maintain your momentum and shrink your hitbox that way, so you're less likely to bonk. And then you can just shoot again and get high jump that way. You can also angle down shoot. But you do not want to land on top of the statue, because if you do, you can't do the fast exit strat here. So generally you want to land at the foot of the statue, and then what you do, since we have Spazer, we can actually open this door in a cool way. So you want to jump up against the wall, shoot when you're near the top of it, and then do a down grab onto this tile, this ledge right here. And then if you run forward and aim down, you'll avoid bonking anything on your way out of the room. So you don't have to land, and you don't end up like hitting the ceiling on your way out either. All right, see you later, John. Yeah, that's that room. And then here you want to do a soft morph. We would have had power bombs selected, actually. I just deselected them when I was making save states, so we'll do that again. Okay, so you do a soft morph on the ground here, then you roll forward. There's a few different ways you can do this right here. You can hold jump, unmorph, and push back to do a buffer jump, and then you can do 2 wall jumps to the right and morph. Once you get to the top, you want to lay your power bomb out of the way. What that does is it kills the Nova, and it breaks these 2 blocks, so you can get out fast. So this is how I used to do this room with the buffer jump with back, but it's actually a little bit slower than if you unmorph and then push right and do a wall jump off the right and then off the left, like this. But that's the risk, is that sometimes you'll end up with a straight jump instead, and you can't wall jump out of a straight jump. Earlier, somebody was saying you can do wall jumps in a 1 tile gap, and that's not always true. Sometimes you have to turn around first for some reason. So if I'm in a spin here, and I keep holding forward, it won't work. It does look like, though, if I release forward and then push forward and do it, then that will work. So it's not just turning around that works, apparently. Today I learned. But yeah, it's not as simple as just doing a spin jump into a one tile gap, because for some reason you have to change Samus's pose first or something. I don't even know. It's weird. Oops. But yeah, so you wanna roll over here and unmorph and then jump up through the gap. And if you time it correctly, you can actually fix the door transition to be better as well. So basically you can jump up as soon as these blocks are broken. And depending on how high you jump, the door transition will be better or worse. Just to start. So like notice since I didn't scroll the camera up a bunch, well, it's okay, so it's not about scrolling the camera up a bunch actually, because up all the way is the right position. But when Samus falls back down, the camera scrolls back down, and you don't want that. So if you can get like a perfect grab here, then that's going to keep the door transition fixed, and it's also just faster in terms of movement. So that's kind of what you want to do, is like a short hop up and then run and jump out of the room. Okay. All right. There's a few different ways to handle this this room. What you'll see most runners do is they'll farm these two Novas, and then they'll come up this way, get this one, and then open the door with a super. And there's nothing wrong with this. That's a 354 with a 44 frame transition. This door transition is notorious for being bad, by the way. $351. Another thing you can do is do an angle up super when you land on this. Come on. So if you shoot a super like right here, it'll hit. But I'm bad at that. And it's not really better than just jumping and fixing the transition either. But I don't do either of these strats because a real cutie came up with another strat that actually is faster for me and easier for me, so I'll show that. But this is what you'll see most people doing, like that's what Behemoth does, for example. So what Cutie does instead, or what he found and what I've been doing, is you hit this Nova and then you go up from here. If you do an up shot here, you'll hit this next Nova, and then you can do an angle up shot to hit the last one as well. And then you can just run through this way, okay? And if you do it optimally, it's just as fast or faster as the other one. The door transition is worse, but your movement time in the room is faster. So, trying to remember like exactly. I think I got like a 330 with this once or something, but I find this easier. You do want to do a down grab on that shot right there. And then if I remember correctly, there was one other strat that I was playing around with, but you don't have to farm all of these Novas, but it's worth it most of the time, because they can drop like super missiles, which are good, or regular missiles, which are good, or health, which is good. Basically, so when we get to Speed Booster in a few minutes, we're going to spend time farming there, and the less we have to farm there, the better. So if we can get more resources now so that we don't have to farm later, that's good. That's a good thing. All right. Okay, so that's how I do this room. You can't just run through here because you don't have Speed Booster in PRKD. So what you have to do instead is a Mock Ball. You'll make it under the gate. And then you can shoot as you unmorph, and that will prevent you from bonking into the door, which can definitely happen if you wait to shoot. I'm surprised I haven't hit it doing that, but unmorphing earlier, shooting earlier, and then arm pumping through is fastest from what I remember. Yeah. Okay. Just do short hops across these gaps in this room. You don't want to like fall in and bonk on these guys, and you don't want to worry about like landing on them either, because it's not like there's no reason to. It's not helpful at all in this direction for this room. Then you want to jump through the door and immediately morph and make it into that little hole. Okay. You can jump late and have a low jump and do it, or you can jump really early and you should still be able to make it. As long as you don't bonk the ceiling, I'm pretty sure you can jump as early as you want. We bonked the ceiling there. Yeah. So it's just a matter of making sure that you morph when you first get in to the room. And then this is another situation where you can either do a buffered back jump like that, or you can turn around and press forward. You turn around as a ball, and then you unmorph, so you're facing left. So if I unmorph like this, I'm going to be facing right. But if you tap left first, you're facing left. You continue holding left to stand up, and then you can just spin jump up. This room is really hard, by the way. But yeah, you just want to do a single spin jump and shoot. Just tap shoot, don't hold it, because if you hold it, you're not going to be able to morph here. Okay. So tap shoot. You'll hit one of the Novas here. There's 3, so we killed one of them. And then you can either roll through like that, or you can stop and kill both of the other Novas and collect their drops. Or you can go for the damage boost, which is hard but fastest and pretty swaggy if you get it. Okay. If possible, you want to avoid doing that jump, so you can hold jump as you're rolling through the tunnel. You have to release jump in order to optimally get into the tunnel. So you release jump, you do your wall jump, and then you release it and morph. Because if you morph while you're still holding jump, then you're going to fly upwards. So you need to morph after you release jump. And then you can repress it again here in the tunnel. And if you just hold it, then you can do the damage boost that way without needing to worry about like actually jumping. Come on, man. But jumping isn't necessarily bad either. It's still faster than, you know, just like rolling off. It's like 15 to 20 frames faster to do the V-boost, I think. And if your movement is like really, really good, you can save like 30 frames. I think my best time in here is like a 319. That's like really crazy though. Okay, so now we want to grab Ice Beam. You can do a turnaround collection here, but if you keep running and hold shoot, you might bonk the door. So what I usually opt to do instead is just grab it facing forward, and then I hold shoot. Do I hold shoot? No. I turn and shoot, and then just a teeny bit later, I start running forward. You want to hold shoot here after when you're opening the door, whatever input you do to open the door, you want to hold that input to hold your shot and do an angle down as you're leaving the room. Another thing you can do is you can turn and hold shoot during the fanfare. Okay, and then just repress dash after you've moved left a little bit. So that's another option. Okay. So we're holding a charge shot and angling down as we leave this room. That will automatically freeze these two Novas. And you can aim down as you run off the ledge here. And you'll land on the second one. And then you can do like kind of a short hop mock ball into the tunnel and get out that way. You wanna time your movement here so that you weave to the right and then back to the left. If you do it correctly, you can make it in this in under this block without bonking from the bounce. It's tight, but it's not that tight. You can also you can farm these guys. If you time it correctly, you can hit both of them with the same shot as you like run off. Yeah, there we go. So if you feel like you really need resources, you can learn and go for that. There's also a jump ball strat out of this room that's really hard, but really cool. That's definitely the fastest. I can't believe I got it first try. But it requires 2 very fast down presses after jumping. Otherwise, you're going to bonk the ceiling first and not make it across the gap. So, also, you need to go back to holding left after morphing, or else you'll stop. It is risky. If you miss it, you lose a lot of time. So I usually just go like this. I do the aim down and then do a short hop mock through the room. Through the little path, I guess. Alright, this next room, kind of tricky. I piano. You don't have to piano, but you do need to hold dash the whole time. You want to do a short hop, and then you want to do another short hop, an angle down shot, straight shot, and then one more angle down shot. what this does is it makes an ice bridge for you so that you have plenty of room to run and jump and mock ball through the room. Just like that. You can technically just do one of these guys. You can just freeze one of these guys and run and jump and mock ball. It's a little bit harder to get the distance that you need, but it is possible. We need a mock ball coming out of this room because if we don't have one, we're gonna get blocked by the gate, and that sucks. If you get blocked by the gate, what you need to do is lay a power bomb, jump up, and roll through this way. And it's really slow in comparison. It takes a lot of time. So I've also seen, I think Zos does like a higher jump here. But I've never been good at that. Something like that. It's also a little bit slower than just doing the short hops. What I used to do, because I had a lot of trouble getting this second guy here, I would just freeze the first one and then like carefully position myself on the back edge and do it that way. Or you can also, you know, reposition yourself after freezing both of them if you're worried about it. Like this. But it's not super tight. The main thing is just making sure that you get a good amount of running distance before you jump. And then oh, another thing about this mock ball, this is actually a good opportunity to explain this. So with a lot of other mock balls, you can just run and hold jump and make it through the door, but here you're gonna bonk this right here. So what you have to do is you have to do a shorter jump and repress before repress jump before your soft morph. Because if you're not holding jump when you try to mock ball, it's not going to be a mock ball. Like you can do a soft morph, but you're going to lose your momentum when you land. So holding jump carries Samus's momentum forward, even when you release down, which is why it's required for the mock ball. Anyway, okay, so we mock ball through there. There's a few different ways you can do this room. I unmorph after this gate, and I arm pump, and then I shoot like as I'm coming under the next gate, and then I hold a shot running into the door. And the reason we do that is so that it will open that next door. Now a lot of the time you're gonna fall off this slope. This is something I've been meaning to look into with Pass, but I'm pretty sure at least part of it is based on your subpixel position, which is not really manipulatable, at least not at this part of the game. But sometimes you won't end up running off or falling off of this slope, and you can just run and do a jump across. I always hope for... I hope for it. Like, I hope that I don't fall off the slope and I can just do the jump across, but it's a pretty tight jump too. I mean, you saw I missed it just barely right there. An alternative is you can jump through the door like this, and then you can just do a wall jump off that. It's like 20 frames slower, 25 frames slower than not falling off the slope. But if you do fall off the slope like this and then you jump up, that's like over half a second slower than the jump through the door strat. So running through here is kind of a risk. I always go for the jump, yeah. This is kind of one of those, like, there we go. It's like consistency versus swag versus time save versus blah blah blah. So you can make your own decision what you want to do here. I know the behemoth used to do that that jump through, and Zost goes for the run through, and I go for the run through. Not a whole lot else to say. I know, like, Oats, for example, will, like, roll all the way here, and then he'll stop, like, right here and run forward. And I've seen, like, Zost play around with that, too, and stuff. I'm assuming, like, there's probably some sort of a more consistent setup than others. But I really just need to test it out and see if I can find anything that's 100% consistent. Because as far as I'm aware, there isn't something. But I haven't looked, so. Alright, coming into this room, you want to do a jump through the door. The lower, the better. And basically, you can just hold down here and then press shoot, like, almost immediately, and you're going to end up going down through this gap, okay? You don't have to wait very long because you have Spazer, which makes your shot a lot wider, so... and then, yeah, so you just want to deal with these hoppers. Depending on your powerbomb count here, you may or may not want to collect from them. Leaving this room, you need at least one powerbomb. Is that right? Yeah. You need at least one powerbomb. So if you're at 0 and you miss that, for example, you'll want to go back and grab it before you move on. It is possible to kill these guys quickly enough that you don't have to stop to collect the second drop. It's kind of specific, but basically if you shoot 2 missiles kind of like as you're passing this pillar right here, it will usually work. See, that was too early there. They take one shot plus 1 missile or 2 missiles to kill. Okay. And then what I do to get up here is I do a crouch jump. It's just a little faster than if you do like a normal jump or a spin jump. If you do a crouch jump and a down grab. You want to select supers and you want to shoot as you're coming up over the lip here with a super. Oops. You do a down grab and then you just run forward. I missed my crouch jump there, and that's okay. So yeah, that's that room. You might see some people do like a spin jump instead of a straight jump, like this. And there's nothing wrong with that. If it's faster for you, then by all means go for it. I couldn't make it faster than my fastest down grab when I did it with the crouch jump. But yeah. Okay, coming into this room, you want to do either a short hop or a late jump so you don't hit this stalactite here. And then you want to mock ball across this first platform here. You can also bounce ball technically, but a mock ball is faster in this particular scenario. And then since we have Ice Beam, you want to shoot as you're coming up over this next one. Yeah, this room sucks, Clipper. You want to shoot as you're coming up over the next one, and again as you're coming down. Okay? Shoot, shoot. What this does is it kills this flyer guy so that he'll leave a drop for you. At that point, you want to select supers, run and jump, You want to be pretty far left here, because if you're too far to the right, what's going to happen is you're going to, like, you're going to try to get a good jump over where we need to go, and it's just going to be awkward. Like, you're going to land on this platform here. You need a little bit more run speed here, so that you can clear this, and then you want to weave down, shoot that door with a super missile, okay? The weave it's hard, but it's not that hard. You also can kill that Nova with like a missile. In some categories you would pseudo screw, but we don't want to do that here. Oops. Because it's slower in this particular instance. It's slower and you don't get the drop. So yeah, that's the strat through this room. If you bonk him, it's okay, it's not the end of the world. Do try not to bonk that green door, though. And, yeah. Okay. Alright, so this room is called Rising Tide. There are two main ways you can make it through. Most people will and should go for the bottom strat. Basically, you do a short hop, you mock ball there, you'll run into that Nova, okay? Then you'll roll forward until you're past that seahorse. Try to avoid hitting these hopper guys. They do a lot more damage than the Novas. So if it looks like you're gonna hit him, probably best to just wait and then go. Once you pass that seahorse, you want to unmorph right here before this next one and jump up. And from there, really, it's just platforming. The platforming still kind of sucks, but it's not that bad. You do a high jump over this first one, okay? And then you can either do kind of a short hop onto this next one and run off, or you can jump over it completely. Like that, except don't be bad. Like me. And then you can shoot, like, as you're falling onto that next longer platform. That will open the door. You just want to get a running jump across here, and that will allow you to clear the rest of the room, okay? If you don't have enough of a running jump, you're gonna land like in the lava, and then you just need to jump up. Thankfully, we have gravity suit here, so like taking damage from the lava or whatever is not a big deal. Okay. The other strat is harder. It is a little bit faster if you do it correctly. You want to either do a mock ball or a bounce ball off of this pillar, this platform here, the second one, not the first one. Okay, and then you want to unmorph on this longer one, this longer platform. You do a running jump, you do a damage boost off the Nova, right here, onto this next long platform, okay? In order to do this bounce ball, you do need to do kind of a short hop, where you jump and then release and repress jump. Again, we're repressing jump so we don't lose our momentum when we morph, because that'll send us straight down. You want to do a running jump across that longer platform, You want to start on the left side of it so you can get enough of a running jump that you make it over that next seahorse. Land on this platform, and this platform is the same platform as the one that we would normally land on if we unmorphed here and jumped up. Okay, so from there the rest of the room is the same. Like that. Hey Tim, thanks. Oops. I go top route. Rather than going under, I do this strat. There is one other strat that you can do. It is RNG dependent, but if this hopper happens to be in the right spot, you can do a mock ball, or yeah, you can do a Kego mock ball through him. And what that will do is you'll already have iframes as you're mock balling through, so you won't bonk on the Nova or anything like that. Wonder. Well, yeah, that wouldn't help anyway. But basically, you'll already have iframes, and you'll mock ball like all the way over here, and it's really fast. But it's RNG dependent because it's based on what kind of hop this guy decides to do. Sometimes it will be possible, and other times it won't. So yeah, that's Rising Tide. And now we're going to talk about Bubble Mountain. Okay, there are a few strats you can do here. There's the Ice Stairs strat, which I don't know how to explain because I've never done it. I'm not going to try to teach it, but basically it's what Behemoth does. And he does some cool ice shot here. He freezes that waver, and then he, like, jumps up on the waver. And freezes another waver. And jumps up on that waver. And he just jumps across, basically. And it's cool. It's a cool strat, but like I said, I don't know how to do it. So most people are gonna go on the left side here. You can kill this waver with a missile. That way you don't have to shoot it twice. Or you can just shoot it twice. Okay, and then you'll run, jump across, do a wall jump up here, and then again. Keep an eye on what the CAC is doing, because if he decides to inflate and shoot at the wrong time, you can get totally screwed by that. Oh no, then we fall down. So that's bad. So yeah, just keep an eye on the CAC. You can freeze him on your way up. Most people will do that, or they'll shoot him with a missile on their way up. And the reason for this is because he drops a super missile, which is a very valuable commodity. So like that, and then they'll damage boost across with the waver. I was never very good at this strat, by the way. They like open the door with a super because it's a green door. Gosh dang it, dude. And then they'll damage boost off that waver into the door. I almost got it there. And that's a really good strat. And it is probably the best in terms of consistency. Almost. I go for a right side strat instead, so I'll explain that. There we go. That's a 642. Right side Bubble Mountain is not as hard as you might think if you try and do it, because it feels really hard, but eventually you'll sort of get a feel for it. Basically, you want to swing away from the wall for a number of pixels. It's kind of like iceless, actually, come to think of it. You want to swing away from the wall for a number of pixels before you do your wall jump. Iceless and Mega Man X, by the way. And that will allow you to clear this little lip right here. If you happen to miss it and you have Ice Beam, that's okay. Just do 3 of these wall jumps, aim down and shoot. 3 slower wall jumps than that, sorry. And you'll land on this waiver here. And at that point, you can just do a wall jump up like that, okay? Okay, so that is almost as fast. This backup is almost as fast. 651. So it's 10 frames-ish slower than going the left side. Okay. If you do get right side Bubble Mountain, there's a few different things you can do here. That's the slowest variation of it, and it's 10 frames faster than left side. You can also, like, for example, do a damage boost off that waiver and skip the CAC and his super. Okay, so that would be the boost. I'm gonna try and do it like completely correctly, but it's kind of hard because you don't want to boost up, but you also don't want to boost down exactly, because you want to make it across that gap. And the easiest way to do that is by boosting later on the waiver, if I remember correctly. But yeah, it's hard. Try it a few more times. If you're fast enough and your name is a real cutie. Okay, so that's that strat. That was a 458 and I waited, so it could have been like a 430 or something, I think. If you're fast enough and your name is a real cutie, you can do this like really aggressive right side Bubble Mountain where you make it up and you kill King Cac and grab the super and get the boost off the waiver. But it's really hard. I almost got it there. Basically, you would land, grab the super, and then boost across the gap and go through. But yeah, so that is right side Bubble Mountain. I usually opt to collect both drops like this. Don't fall back down like that, that's bad. So I'll do like that sort of a thing. But if I have a lot of super missiles and I'm not worried about farming King Cac, I'll usually go for the waiver boost. Like that. Because it saves a couple seconds. And then running into this next room, I prefer to have a single missile selected here, which you do by holding select and pushing X, and that will make your missile flash like this. And what that does is it makes it so after you shoot a missile, it automatically deselects, okay? So I do a single missile select and I run through. And then basically right after Samus enters, I crouch and I do an angle up shot and then I shoot again immediately. What that does is the missile kills the Scree, and then the second shot can come out immediately because it was a missile into a normal shot, which doesn't have the same kind of a cooldown as like 2 missiles or 2 normal shots. So I crouch, angle up, shoot twice, and then I run forward and do a down grab. And if you're fast enough with this, you can make it under that particle, that one that hit me, it's the second one in. And you can wall jump up here, okay? It's okay if you fall in, like that's not the end of the world by any means. But yeah, so that's the fastest strat that I've been able to do. I know like some people will do like they'll run in and they'll do like 2 missiles, like with an angle up. So they'll like shoot and then down grab and jump up, and that doesn't involve the crouch. With my particular control scheme, I couldn't find a comfortable way to do that, and when I did find success with it, it wasn't any faster than just doing it this way with the crouch and the run forward. So the next thing about this room, you want to do kind of a high wall jump here, because that will fix this door transition. So if we do like a lower wall jump, like a ledge grab, and then we shoot and we jump up, this door transition is going to be really bad. So that was 68 frames, which actually, I mean, it's not that bad. This one's going to be a lot worse. 91. Okay. And what people used to do to fix this door is they would jump through it, okay? So they'd like come up this way and they'd jump. And that does fix the door transition, but then in this next room you have to wait to land before you can run. It's better to just do a high wall jump on your way up. Yeah. So you just want to do kind of a higher wall jump on your way up and run through the door. Now it's actually faster, based on a comparison video that I saw from Real Cutie a while ago, to farm once here and run through, and then once on the way back. Like, let's say that you're doing 2 total farms, you'd farm once now and then once on the way back. I think that's because these bugs are technically already spawned as soon as you enter the room. But I don't know the exact reasoning behind it. Now, if you want to see a really bad transition, we can try and get a really bad transition here. We do like down grab, and then like another down grab. Yeah. So yeah, that's some straight in-game time strats right there. Heck yeah, dude. But yeah, so do like a higher wall jump here. Jump up. You can farm first, or you can farm just on the way back. It's kind of up to you what you want to do. You run through the door. You want to arm pump through this entire room. You're not at risk of falling off any of these slopes, so don't worry about it. And then once you reach this 3rd set of spikes, once you reach the middle of the 3rd set of spikes, you want to fire 5 missiles. And then to avoid bonking the door, you just do a quick stutter there after the last set of crumble blocks. Okay. You can also shoot a super to open the door. If you have a ton of supers, you can do that. And then you don't have to stop, so it is a little faster. And if you're going to do that, you want to shoot the super at the beginning of the 4th set of spikes. Because if you shoot it at the middle of the 3rd set, I'm pretty sure it will despawn before it hits the door. Yeah. So you got to wait a little longer for the super. It is possible to fire 5 missiles to open the door and not bonk, but it's really hard. So if you are going to be using missiles, which usually you should, shoot 5, stutter, run through, okay? And then you either want to deselect or select power bombs, so that you have your beam equipped again. and shoot through the door. And what that does is it will automatically break the item block so you can collect speed booster. You can collect that with a wall jump check, but if I remember correctly, that's actually slower than doing like a late turn, because it gives you just a little more run speed here to jump across the gap. Yeah, so it saves a couple frames actually if you just do a later grab there. So you're like deeper into the room next to the statue. But that also requires doing a later jump across. So if you do fall there, it's not a big deal. Just do, you know, a little short hop up, get up, run through. And then arm pump on the way back here. And shoot once you get to the top of the third slope. Yeah. And that will open the door. You want to jump through this door because it will fix the transition. So that's a 102. And if you jump through 81. And then there's a few different ways you can farm in this next room. What I've started doing is I hold down and then I release as I fly into the room, and I shoot twice. Okay. You can also hold down the entire time. Collect that way. You can use a missile. And that way you don't have to wait. You don't have to shoot them twice, basically. I'm pretty bad at aiming the missile, which is why I don't usually do that, but looks like maybe I'm getting better at that. Also, a missile will sometimes not kill all of them, so that's another bad thing about it. Should always work at an angle. But, yeah. And then, as you're refarming here, what you want to do is farm with bombs, like this. Basically, as soon as you collect the drops, that's when you want to lay your next bomb. And that will guarantee that you kill all of the bugs. Okay. And you can collect your drops basically as quickly as possible. Once you're done farming here, you can just shoot from standing here and it will break the block that you need to jump down through. And you want to do a jump through, so like do a little running short hop and then aim down. Shoot as you're coming down into it, and that will break the next block down here, right here. Okay. And then you can do a damage boost off of that on the right. If you just hold jump as you're falling through, and then hold right as you come down through this next hole, you'll hit it, and you can bounce back across. If you happen to miss that, it's okay. Like, let's say that you land, like, here or something. You can still drop down and boost off their particles. Or, if you miss the boost, you can drop all the way down and boost off the bats when they fly down. But yeah, ideally you want to boost off of it as you're coming out of the hole there. You also, if you don't want to do the hop, you can just do a runoff. Wow. And you want to leave this room with at least 8 supers, by the way, if possible. But I also wouldn't farm more than 3 times. That's something that Oates told me a while ago, and I tend to agree. Because sometimes you're just gonna get screwed. But yeah, you can run off here instead of jumping, and then just do a down back to the left here. shoot on your way down, and then turn around and do the boost that way. That's easier than jumping down through the hole, but it's also quite a bit slower. Okay. Alright. We don't want to take any unnecessary damage from here on out, because we're on our way to lower Norfair and there's no more health refills. Do a short hop coming out of this door. And shoot this next door as you fall into position for it. You want to be as far left here as possible, but not to the point where you want to actually moonwalk into position. Just try to be mindful of where you are, where you're landing. And then run through the door. Hold jump during this door transition. What that will do is allow you to damage boost off of this orb. And if you time it correctly, then you can clear all the way back to the next wall instead of bonking like that. You can then just open the door with a super, jump across the gap, and run through. If you're struggling with this damage boost, what you want to do instead is freeze this orb and then missile this Alcoon. They're called Alcoons. They're the non-seahorse ground poppy dragon guys. You want to missile the Alcoon and then do another short hop over across the around the corner, I guess. Now the reason we're missiling the Alcoon and freezing the orb is because it will reduce lag. Wait, I think they are called dragoons. Dude, I don't freaking know. If we don't freeze the orb, we're gonna get 2 lag frames there. We had 0 before. We don't kill the Alcoon, and we don't take damage from the Alcoon, I guess. That's 2 lag frames. I mean, it seems like a small thing, right? But it is still a thing. And here's the thing: if we end up in a situation where we would need to use missiles here instead, because like let's say that we don't have enough supers here, that's 12 lag frames there. Where if we kill this guy and then we do it, that's only 4. So it is just lag reduction strats here. If you're not going for the boost, that's how you want to handle it. You'll see some people do a down grab across this strat, or across this gap, sorry. That gives you a pretty bad door transition here, but it theoretically gives you like more run speed into the next room. And you'll see some people swear that it's a better strat. I've tested this on at least 4 different occasions. Oh, look who showed up. Mr. freaking Salt. I've tested this on 4 different occasions, and every time the conclusion that I come to, and Behemoth actually said something similar recently, is that there's potential to fix the door more, by jumping, and so optimally, jumping over the gap is faster. Gosh dang it, dude. But if it's less consistent for you or whatever, then go for the down grab and get a worse door transition. In this next room, you want to jump and shoot. Basically, you just want your shot to go through the bottom of these stalactites. That will hit the gate for you. And then you want to run across this gap. Or not across the gap. Run across the platform, sorry. Collect the missiles unless you're doing 15-10, in which case you'd usually jump over them. Do a wall jump off that far wall, shoot your super as you come up over the ledge, and then do a down grab to get up onto it, okay? Now here's a couple things. You don't want to ledge grab, like, in the traditional sense, you don't want to ledge grab these platforms, because Clipper will actually be able to relate to this. If you do it in the wrong way, you'll just clip through the platform. I'll try and show it. But yeah, basically, yeah, like that. You can just fall straight through. So if you do want to break spin to land earlier, which is a good thing, do it in the air rather than as you're landing on the floating platform. All right. Run across, jump, wall jump, shoot your super, and open the door. Now, if you are jumping over this set of missiles, there's a couple different ways you can do that. I don't really like any of these strats, but basically the idea is you're trying to jump over them to not collect them, but land as close to them as possible so you can get as much run speed as possible. And then what you can do is you can either do a Kago morph through that ripper, jump up that way. You could also do like this weird mock ball thing that I've seen people doing recently. It's faster in theory. It's like that. It does save some time for sure, I think. Oops. But if you screw it up, you lose a lot of time because you'll like fall through the spikes in the middle, for example. But it saves like 20 frames if you do it correctly. Oops. We're screwed. Our run's over. Or I think I've also seen people opt to just run off. Gosh dang it. Like this, and jump up. I thought I saw Behemoth doing the mock ball. I know he used to do the runoff, but yeah, he doesn't do the Kago through the Ripper. That is accurate. Get into this room. You can fire coming out of the room, and then just spin jump, grab the item, and shoot again to open the door. Now you can either do like a little short hop thing here and land on the edge of the block without falling in the gap, like that. Or you can just fall in the gap and then do a short hop up. I've done it both ways. Jumping across is faster optimally, but it's also kind of hard to do. The one thing is we want to make sure that we have as much run speed as possible coming out of this door so that we can make the jump across these spikes without actually taking damage on the spikes like that. That jump is deceivingly difficult. It's not that bad, but it's not free either. You want to do a quick drop down through the spikes, and the best way to make sure that you're going to do that is to stay in spin until you're pretty much all the way across, because remember, spin makes you move faster horizontally than a non-spin pose, just by a couple pixels. I think it's like 1 pixel every 8 frames or something. Anyway, so we do a quick drop, morph, roll under the tunnel, unmorph when we come out of the tunnel. You can also just run off and do a quick drop through the middle here. It's just a little slower, but it's also safer. Okay, man, no worries. But yeah, I opt to go for the jump. And then you want to run forward after you unmorph here, and you want to shoot on this second low point of the floor with an angle up shot, okay? After that, you want to jump through the door. There's a few different ways to do this. I personally go for a strat that's a little bit less fast optimally, but it's more consistent for me. And this strat is so inconsistent to begin with. This door is so inconsistent to begin with. That's why I've decided to do it the way that I do it. But optimally, I think what you want to do is like a mock ball. Like you want to do like a high jump and then a mock ball like through the door like this. See, that's like a perfect frame transition, pretty much, or perfect door transition. And then you just like unmorph and do a short hop around the corner. Okay. What I opt to do instead is I shoot as I aim down and I shoot as we're entering the door. And then I hold down and you can either do a mock ball, or if you're high enough in the door, you'll just fall through the gap like this, and the door down there will automatically open for you when you do it this way. And that's really nice because if I can illustrate it, that door decides to just not open sometimes. Oops. So we'll try and illustrate that, and then we'll move on. We're almost done with this segment, which is nice. Okay, so like that shot looked like it should have gone through the door, but it didn't. That one also looked like it should have gone through the door, but it didn't. So this door is just really finicky like that, and it's really, 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 really annoying. And so what I used to do is like shoot it like that and then go through, but yeah, now I just opt to shoot through the door while aiming down. That'll hit the door every single time. And then we do a little hop here, align ourselves with this back wall, and then run through. You want to arm pump through this lava. If you get lucky, you can actually avoid bonking these platforms too. But I haven't found a consistent setup for it yet, so basically just arm pump, do a damage boost here off that spike, arm pump again, see we didn't bonk on that guy. Oh, that's bad. Don't shoot on this damage boost or you'll freeze that guy, and that's bad. You have to roll under him. At that point, you can't just run through him. Do an angle up shot. Do a ledge grab, run through the door. And then you want to weave down here. You can't actually make it through this first one, but you can make it through the rest of these. So land here and then swing back and forth. Aim down and shoot, and then do a soft morph when you land on the floor right there. You can either roll through the rest of the room like this, which people do so they don't have to worry about like falling off of a slope, I think. Or you can unmorph and arm pump, which is a little faster, I think, usually. But it also kind of depends on what the rocks are doing, because you're almost always going to take damage from a rock when you're arm pumping through, but when you're a morph ball, your hitbox is smaller, and so you're more likely to avoid the rocks. And if you don't take damage, that's faster than taking damage, obviously. So that's that room. Not a whole lot to explain there. I do the arm pump. And then as you're going into the next room, you want to have missiles equipped. If you are going for X Factor Ridley, is what I should say, you want to have missiles equipped, and you want to make sure that you get at least 4 power bombs when you are leaving this room. If you only have one here, you can shoot this first guy and collect, and then you want to shoot 2 more on your way down there. If you have two or more power bombs, you can just skip this first guy. You can either do a short hop here, or you can just run off. I usually just run off. You do want to run off this ledge here so that you can do a down back. The way that that works, you know, you just run off, you turn around, you aim down, you shoot a missile, and then you start your down back and you shoot the next missile. Then you switch to your power bombs, and you lay a power bomb right here. Okay, what that'll do is it'll kill this last guy and open the door for you. Okay, you can collect those power bombs on your way down. And then we're ready to set up Lava Spark. Okay. So, Lava Spark. I don't feel like I'm the most qualified person to teach this, but I'll try. Basically here you need to do at least a 3-tap short charge. So if you don't know how to do a 3-tap short charge, then you need to if you want to do Lava Spark, you need to go learn how to short charge a little better. I have a couple of different tutorials for that. There's kind of a shorter one in my Let's Talk RBO series. I need to rename those videos, but I have an RBO tutorial on my YouTube, and there is a short stuttering and short charge tutorial there. I also have another tutorial. I think it's in a Twitch highlight. It's I did it in the crate hallway, and I'm actually pretty proud of the tutorial. It's seemed to help quite a few people. So go check those out if you're struggling. I will try and explain. I'll try and explain a little bit here, but the real meat of short charging is going to be in those 2 other places. I don't feel like I should retread over that here. So basically, you want to do a 3-tap short charge. I personally go for like they call it like a double or a triple stutter short charge. You can do just a single stutter. And what that would look like is kind of like a long forward press, and then you release and you press forward again. Clipper earlier was saying that it really helped her to think of that second forward as the one that that stops you, like stops your momentum or your movement forward. Basically, you just want your stutter to put it in a comfortable spot where you can predict when Samus's magic frame is going to show up. I'm actually going to turn that on for this. That will hopefully be helpful for people to see that visually. So basically you want that white flash to be in a predictable spot for you. Okay. Some people actually do just a 3-tap here. And that, I mean, it's possible for sure, but you have to do it like right on the edge. And it's a little too close for comfort for me. So I opt to do stutters instead. So a single stutter would be like 2 left presses, right? And on your second, a little bit after your second left press, you do your first tap. Tap, tap, tap. Then you just hold it through the door. Tap, tap, tap. I don't think this is gonna work. Yeah. Tap, tap, tap. Tap, tap, tap. Tap, tap, tap. But yeah, for me, it's a lot easier if I do like a double or a triple stutter, because 1, that gives you more room to work with here, and 2, it's just more natural for me, because the way that I do like that kind of a stutter, my first dash press is like just barely after my last forward press. Tap, tap, tap. Tap, tap, tap. Tap, tap, tap. Okay. And then if you did it clean enough, you can actually you can do your down press like right after you enter the room, to be honest, and you're gonna get it. So here's the thing about figuring out whether or not you got the setup, at least with that kind of a stutter. Since you're saving this extra space here, you can actually see Samus's animation speed up a lot if you get the taps correctly. Like if you watch her feet, they start moving back and forth a lot faster. Or if you look at her elbow, it starts moving back and forth a lot faster when you get the right setup here. Okay? If we miss it, there's not really a change in her animation speed, or there's less of a change. Okay, so like, let's say that I get like taps 1 and 2, but I miss the third one. So tap, 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 tap. You'll get kind of an eye for her animation is what I'm trying to say, and that will give you a hint as to whether or not you're going to be able to do the short charge there in the next room to actually get the shine spark. So I'm not sure how else to explain this room, to be honest, other than, you know, like you could come up with visual cues maybe. So like for me, with this kind of a stutter, my second tap would be at the right side of this platform, I guess. Okay. And then my third tap is like right here on the background. There's like this piece of wall here. Tap, tap, tap. Tap, tap, tap. But that's all dependent on how that first stutter goes for you, right? So I would personally advise against relying too much on visual cues for short charges in general, because you want to be able to do them anywhere, right? And you want to be able to do them just by feeling. That's especially important for Dragon's room, where you can't actually see Samus. But yeah, it's ultimately going to be up to you. So, all right. So if we're going for Lava Spark, you want to press down on the edge of this platform. It's okay if you press down a little bit early. There's still, there's still ways to get it off, to get the shine spark off in time. That happens. But it's going to be a lot easier if you press down on the edge and are falling off the corner like this, okay? Once you fall down, you want to kind of align yourself to the right side of the wall. What I do is I hold L to jump up, and so I just push L after I've run off right here. So like as I'm falling, I push L. I bonk this block here, and then I move left just a little more, and then I turn to the right, okay? You can rub up against this guy as you're falling down. These guys won't hurt you themselves, only their flames will hurt you. So I rub up against him, and I align myself to this wall. I keep holding L this entire time. And then basically, as soon as I land, I jump back up, and I boost off of the flame, okay? There's two different shine sparks up you can do here. You can go straight up, like that. Oh. Okay, or you can do a diagonal up like that. The diagonal is safer because if you do it too late, it can prevent you from bonking on this right here, because okay, so if you try and do a horizontal shine spark in lava, Samus moves very slowly, but she is moving. You can see that. When you do a diagonal shine spark, that same horizontal speed is applied, but all of the vertical speed is applied, okay? So it looks like she's going straight up, but she's actually going up and just a couple pixels to the right, which can prevent you from bonking on this ledge. This yeah, it's a ledge right there. Okay. If you don't hold L and you try to do a straight jump, you're gonna use your shine spark like that. Okay. If you're not comfortable doing an L jump like this, you can do a spin jump instead. The thing is that will take a little bit longer, just like ever so slightly longer, to actually start your boost. And also, you know, of course, there's the potential that you're gonna screw it up and not get your spin jump and just shoot straight up instead. Also, if you do happen to down press early and you go for the spin jump, almost every single time, or maybe literally every single time, you're going to run out of your shine spark before you have a chance to use it. But if you're fast enough with the L jump, you can still do it. And the reason for that is that your hitbox is bigger, so you take the damage earlier. And also, a lot of the time when you do a spin jump, you end up bonking on this this corner of the ceiling over here, and that happens less often when you do the L jump. Okay. There is one other strat. Most people don't do it, but I know Behemoth does. So he purposely presses down earlier, and then he morphs and unmorphs to do his damage boost, like this. And I don't know, like maybe that'll work better for you, but it's not something that I've ever been able to do like consistently. So that is another option if you're having trouble timing your down press off the corner of this right here. Okay. Now, as far as visual cues go, I've used a few different ones over the time that I've done this trick. So I guess I'll just talk about that. So you can watch the floor. When the floor appears and you notice that you're on this left side here, you're safe to go up. I think you can go up from the far left here. Yeah, you can. It's basically the ledge that you'll bonk on up there is the same as this tile that first moves up right here. There's a lot of stuff like that in Super Metroid. If you pay attention to the room design, a lot of the time, rooms are divided into like different chunks where things are lined up straight like that. It's really interesting. And you can, yes, devs are definitely Cosmic Brain. You can do it as far right as I think this one. Yeah. But again, if you end up on this third block over here, you're gonna bonk on a tile up there that's not going to let you get back over onto the ledge here. So you'll just fall down. Okay. So you essentially have 2 tiles worth of sparking position. Actually, this might be a good thing to do. So if we spark straight up from here, we bonk. And if we do a diagonal spark from here, what happens? We make it. Okay. So like I said, a diagonal spark is a little bit safer in that sense, because it can prevent you from bonking. So there's that. So I've watched the floor and tried to position myself and my spark, like time my spark based off of that. There's another thing that you can look for on the left side of the screen. The Namihe and that wall will show up. If you spark before you see those, you're definitely going to bonk. Okay. So like if I spark now, when I just barely saw them, we bonked. Now here's the cool thing. Like, okay, so some people have better reaction time than others, and I like to think that my reaction time is pretty good. but it's really hard for me to spark too early if I'm waiting to see that wall show up on the left side. Okay, if I'm anticipating it, that's different. But if I like wait for it to come into my view, and then I make the conscious decision to, okay, spark now. Usually I don't spark too early. Occasionally I will spark too late and I'll bonk on that lip on the way up, but not usually. Okay. Okay. The other thing you can do, and this is going to vary from person to person, you can like count. Your Shine Spark timer lasts for 3 seconds. Okay. So if you want to count like to 3 after you first press down here, like 1, 1000, 2, 1000, 3, 1000, and you release right before the end of that, that might work for you. But the thing is, you also might, you know, let's say that your boost is like really clean, or, you know, something else, and you end up sparking too late and you bonk on the left side. I used to do this thing where I would count after the damage boost, and that sort of worked for a while, but like I said, like ultimately I've come up with a bunch of different cues, and like sometimes it'll work for like a couple weeks and then it won't work for me anymore, so I'll have to switch to something else. You can also just do it based off of feeling, but like most things in Super Metroid, if you're always doing it based off of feeling, eventually you're going to fail it in a very catastrophic way, and that's bad. So the last thing that we'll talk about, so that's Lava Spark. I don't think I have anything else to say about Lava Spark, but if anybody has any questions, let me know, and I'm happy to go over it. I will say it's a great trick, but if it's killing runs for you over and over and over every single run, you should consider either putting more time into learning it or switching to your gravity jump. Now, okay, so let's say that you miss this, right? You have two options. You can go fast and boost down, okay, and do the gravity jump, or you can just like jump down slowly and do the gravity jump. This will save more HP if you do it this way. This will save more time. And if you do the harder version of the gravity jump, this will save more time and not lose very much HP at all. So I'll go over both of those. Usually if I end up missing the short charge, which doesn't happen very often, but it does happen, I'll just run down like this. Okay, and I'll set up for my gravity jump and do it that way. But yeah, so the way a gravity jump works, we have gravity suit right now. So you want to pause. And you want to time your jump just before the fade out is finished. Okay, so we pause, jump. Now, hopefully you heard Samus jump there, because it started making the spin jump noise. The fact that we heard her jump and didn't see her jump means that that was pretty much optimal. From here, you want to switch gravity suit off. We wouldn't actually have Varia here, so we switch gravity suit off, unpause, and continue holding jump, and then pretty much immediately after like 1 second, you want to repause and choose gravity suit. Okay, and you can get up that way. That lost us 70 health-ish. Yeah. And if you do it correctly, you won't even have to wall jump here. But sometimes you will, and that's fine. You just need to be ready to do that if necessary. Another thing, what was I going to say? Oh, when I was first doing this, I did something without even realizing it, where when you pause, if you're switching to inventory, or yeah, to Samus's equipment items, you just want to hold R, okay? You don't want to press it. For these inputs, you just want to hold the button and it'll go through. That being said, if you push R before the fade out is finished, that's going to make Samus do her angle up. So if you're doing a gravity jump, okay, and you unequip gravity, and then you unpause and you're holding jump, and then you pause again, and then you push R, it can make Samus do that angle up, so she's no longer in a spin jump pose, okay? And that will prevent you from being able to wall jump if that's something that you end up having to do. So it's like, oh well, didn't happen that time. But I had at least a couple runs where I wasn't able to wall jump because I broke my spin before the fade out. So just be careful about that. Okay. Now, let's say that you want to do the harder gravity jump strat. What you want to do is come over here, okay? And you want to time your spin jump off of this guy at the same time that you push start. Now, the only way that I can do that is by pianoing. So I'll hit jump with my ring finger and pause with my index. You could also maybe like claw somehow or something, I don't know. But the idea here is that basically we want to do a gravity jump out of a wall jump off of this guy. And what that will do is it makes it so that we have gravity unequipped for a shorter period of time, okay? So we're taking lava damage and heat damage for a shorter period of time. So yeah, the way that works, you press forward when you're ready to go. You need to time it between these flames up top here. You pause at the same time, and then you do a wall jump just before the fade out, right? You unequip gravity, jump up and around the corner, re-equip gravity. Okay. You can re-pause pretty much immediately when you do that. So with the other one, we were ending up with like 186 health, I think. That was really high. And with this, we have 153. So it's a little bit less, but it's not that much less. Probably the worst thing that can happen is if you miss your spark, so you bonk, you fall all the way back down, and then you have to gravity jump. That's going to be really costly if you do it from here. So now we only have 86 health. Okay. But if you do it from the left side, oh no, we bonked. So you fall down here. You do this gravity jump. I tried to re-pause immediately, but it didn't work. Anyway, we have 110, right? So we have 25-ish more health than we did before, and if we'd paused earlier, it would be even more. Okay. So it is definitely a really good thing to learn this left side gravity jump, if for no other reason than just because if you fail this, it can literally save your run to have that extra HP here. $119. Okay. So yeah, definitely worth learning that left side. And then also, if you do end up doing a gravity jump here and you're going to be X-factoring Ridley, you want to unequip these beams at this point. Okay. You don't want to re-equip them in most scenarios, but I'm going to show the usual strat. So let's say that we did get the lava spark. Okay. You want to run, Yeah, run, jump through the door. If you do a higher jump, it's going to fix the door transition. And then what I do here is I just hold angle and pause pretty much as soon as you come in. And then when the fade out is happening, you'll land on the elevator. And you can activate it, which I've done a few times now, but you activate the elevator, you unequip your beams, and then you unpause again. And the transition happens before Samus goes off screen. So normally when you do an elevator, the transition doesn't happen until after Samus is off screen, if you see that. Whereas if you pause and then activate the elevator and then unpause, it happens earlier when she's still on screen. I don't know why that is, but it does save. It's quite a bit. It's like 40 frames or something like that. So definitely worth doing that. And that's the end of this segment, because we'll be going into Lower Norfair next. So I am not going to do Lower Norfair talk tonight, because this has already been going on for a couple hours, and Lower Norfair is probably the most complex part of the run. If it's not the most complex part of the run, it's the hardest part of the run for sure. So yeah, we're gonna do some crowd control, but before we do that, does anybody have any questions? You're welcome.